money do you make?
Just straight up like that.
I make 80 grand a year before taxes. Do you make more or less than that?
More.
I know. Finance, right?
Private equity.
Before we go any further, let me say this quickly. If you value honest conversations about money, time, and freedom, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below where you're watching from. This channel isn't about hype, it's about clarity. Now back to the question. How much money do you make? That question sounds normal. It sounds polite, even respectful. It's the kind of question people ask at dinners, at work events, or during casual conversations when they're trying to understand where someone stands in life. But it's also one of the most dangerous questions we've normalized as a society, because it doesn't measure freedom, it doesn't measure stability, it doesn't even measure success. What it really measures is how dependent you are on continuing to perform tomorrow. It measures how long you can keep running without stopping, how long you can stay useful, how long you can keep playing your role. Now let's talk about where this belief comes from. From childhood, we're conditioned to believe one simple equation: higher salary equals a better life. More security, more respect, more happiness. We're taught that if we just earn a little more, things will finally feel settled. That the next raise will bring peace. That the next promotion will make everything click into place. And for a short time, that belief feels true, until it doesn't. There's a reason for that, and psychology explains it very clearly. Behavioral economists call it hedonic adaptation. Study after study shows that once your basic needs are met, housing, food, healthcare, additional income delivers rapidly diminishing emotional returns. The raise feels incredible in the beginning. You feel seen, validated, relieved. By month 3, it feels normal. By month 6, it's invisible. Your brain adapts, your lifestyle expands to match the new number, your expectations reset, and your stress doesn't disappear, it just changes form. If you've ever received a raise and felt strangely empty a few months later, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not ungrateful, you're not broken, you're human. That feeling isn't a personal failure, it's a predictable psychological response. If that resonates with you, pause for a second and like this video. And if you've experienced this yourself, comment "relate" below. Now let's shift the conversation to something people almost never talk about: risk. Not emotional risk, not motivational risk, not what if I try and fail risk. Real structural risk. According to OECD labor data, more than 70% of workers in developed countries rely on a single employer for nearly all of their income. Think about that for a moment. One source, one paycheck, one decision maker standing between stability and chaos. In finance, that's called extreme concentration risk. It means no diversification, no redundancy, no safety net. If this were an investment portfolio, any competent advisor would call it reckless. They would tell you to spread the risk, to create buffers, to avoid putting everything into one basket. But when it's your life, we call it responsible. We call it stable. We call it success. Now let's address the idea of job security, because this is where the illusion really breaks. Long-term labor studies show that the average worker will experience multiple involuntary job disruptions over their career. Not because they failed, not because they were lazy, not because they weren't good enough, but because companies optimize for efficiency, automation, cost reduction, and shareholder value. Not loyalty, not human stability, not long-term personal well-being. Your performance does not protect you from structural decisions. You can be excellent at your job and still be affected by forces completely outside your control. And this becomes even more uncomfortable when we look at high earners. Higher paid professionals are often more vulnerable, not less. Their roles are more expensive. Their compensation is harder to justify during downturns. And their lifestyles are significantly more costly to maintain. When high earners lose income, the psychological shock is often greater because their margin for error is smaller. The fall feels steeper, the pressure feels heavier, and the fear feels sharper. That's why many people with impressive salaries live with constant low-grade anxiety. They don't talk about it, they don't post about it, they don't admit it out loud, but it's there. If you know someone living this reality, share this video with them. And if you want more conversations like this, subscribe to the channel. Now let's talk about happiness. Not quotes, not opinions, but data. One of the longest-running studies in human history, the Harvard Study of Adult Development, followed people for more than 80 years. It tracked careers, relationships, income levels, health outcomes, and life satisfaction over decades. Its conclusion was remarkably consistent. The strongest predictor of a fulfilling life was not income, not job title, not prestige. It was the quality of relationships and the ability to be present for them. And here's the contradiction most people avoid facing. We trade time, the exact thing relationships need, for salary. We miss dinners, we postpone rest, we delay important moments. We tell ourselves we'll make it up later, that it's just temporary, that once we reach a certain number, things will slow down. But life doesn't wait, and security that costs you your life isn't security. It's a slow trade you don't notice until it's gone. Now let's be very clear about one thing. Salary is not independence. Salary is conditional income. It exists only if you remain healthy, if you remain employed, if you remain needed. Remove just one of those conditions and the income stops. That's not freedom, that's permission. Permission to live, as long as the conditions are met. So here's a better question, one used quietly by people who understand risk. How long could you stop working without panic? Not a vacation, not unpaid leave. Stop. That number reveals far more about your freedom than your salary ever will. Most people avoid this question because the answer makes them uncomfortable. So instead, they chase raises. But raises solve a perception problem, not a structural one. They increase income without reducing dependence. That's why they feel empty. Now let's talk about what real wealth actually is. Real wealth is optionality. Optionality is the ability to choose, to keep working because you want to, not because stopping would collapse everything. It's the difference between intention and obligation. Salary alone does not create optionality. Time does. Systems do. Small systems started early. Investing, automation, secondary income streams don't look impressive. They don't create envy. They don't impress strangers, but they reduce pressure. And pressure is the real enemy of freedom. Let's also clear up a misunderstanding about passive income. Passive income isn't magic. It isn't fast, and it isn't glamorous. It doesn't mean doing nothing. What it really does is this. It decouples survival from daily labor, even partially. And partial freedom changes how you think, how you work, and how you live. You make better decisions when you're not desperate. You set boundaries more easily. You stop trading your values for security. Now, here's the most uncomfortable truth of all. Most people aren't chasing freedom. They're chasing validation. They want their income to prove something. To parents, to peers, to society. They want respect, approval, a sense of having made it. But impressing others is expensive, and the cost is paid in time. So let's bring this home. Money is a tool, time is the asset, and the people you love are the reason any of this matters. No study, no data set, no life review has ever concluded otherwise. If this perspective challenged you, that's intentional. Like this video if it made you think. Subscribe if you want more conversations like this, and comment below what part hit you the hardest. The roadmap is below, not to get rich fast, but to stop trading your life for approval.